Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Our next guest is, a hero to me. He's been a friend of mine for, 25 years or more. And he also was, of course, the vice president of the United States for Donald Trump. He was a member of Congress. He was a stalwart conservative throughout all his years in public service. Now he runs a group called Advancing American Freedom. I'm talking about Mike Pence. And I really believe, Mr. Vice President, that if it were not for you, that Donald Trump would not have been elected in 2016. You gave him the conservative credentials that he needed to win that race. And so for that and for so many other reasons, I thank you for your service to our country.
Steve, thank you for those very kind words. Great to be on More Money, and congratulations on all your success on the airwaves. But I hope people know that during those Trump-Pence years, you and the man who precedes you on this station on the radio were invaluable partners in forging policies that created 7 million good-paying jobs. Saw wages rising at the fastest pace in 10 years, and the lowest unemployment ever recorded for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and women in 50 years. So I want to thank you for being a voice for freedom and free markets, and for the role you played in our administration.
Well, thank you, Mr. Vice President. And by the way, you may recall that when you first ran for Congress, at that time, I think I was running the Club for Growth, and you were one of the first candidates that we ever helped. And by the way, I don't think any candidate had a bigger payoff than you did. So thank you again. So I want to get right down to it. I want to talk to you about issues. I want to talk to you about what's going on in America. And first of all, when you mentioned those statistics that really are important about what you and President Trump achieved in that first term, it was an economic renaissance. And what do you think were the factors behind that?
Well, I think there's simply no question that what drove the economic renaissance during the Trump-Pence years was certainly rolling back red tape, pursuing policies that unleashed American energy. But I really will always believe that those tax cuts that we passed for working families and businesses around the country in 2017 were a centerpiece of economic growth. And as I have been telling people over the last 4 years since I left office, it's incredibly important that people understand that those tax cuts have to be renewed at the end of 2025, or every household in America is going to see nearly $2,000 tax increase. I mean, and so this is an area where I've taken issue and offered some constructive advice to the new Trump administration on a few issues. We can talk about those on tariffs and foreign policy, but on this one, we are 100%. Me personally and our foundation, Advancing American Freedom, taking the message all across the country that the most important domestic priority today for the American people is making sure that the Trump-Pence tax cuts are renewed in full. It remains a foundation of our prosperity, and it really holds the keys of ensuring a boundless American future.
I was told that your group, Advancing American Freedom, is actually running some TV and/or radio ads, really defending those tax cuts and defending the Republicans who are voting for it in some places in tough districts. So is that the case? What are you doing?
Yeah, we are. People can go to advancingamericanfreedom.com on the internet and see these ads. We put them up in battleground districts, about a half a dozen in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Michigan. Because, frankly, a number of our members in those tough districts, Steve, have come under fire for voting for the big, beautiful bill. And I don't need to tell you that this week criticism has come even from the likes of Elon Musk. They're now criticizing the bill. But we wanted to make sure that while they're being criticized from the left and from some even in Republican ranks, that those members of Congress know that we're giving voice to the gratitude of millions of Americans who appreciate the fact that they took the tough vote. Now, I know I'm talking to a great fiscal conservative, and you know you are too. Could there be more savings in this bill? Could we have cut spending more? I would have loved to have seen it. In fact, we're strongly supporting the rescission package that's been sent to Capitol Hill that had cut spending by about $10 billion. But as the Wall Street Journal wrote just the other day, this is not about spending cuts. This is about whether we're going to prevent a $4.7 trillion tax increase on the American people and on the American economy. And we want those members of Congress to have the air cover. It's one of the reasons I wanted to do your show today across the country.
Yeah. Well, thank you for what you're doing. I want to tell a quick story about Vice President Pence back when he was in Congress, and this was a long time ago, Mike. So if I don't remember, if I misremember it, let me know. But remember I think it was one of the healthcare bills. Was it the under Bush? I think it was, where they wanted to expand all the healthcare programs, and there was a key vote that went to like 3:00 in the morning or something in the House, and
longest vote in the history of Congress on the Medicare prescription
Which one was
drug
this
bill.
again? It was the what bill?
It was on President Bush was expanding entitlements, right, was adding a prescription drug benefit to Medicare. Right. That I didn't oppose. I thought we ought to have a means test in it. We shouldn't be,
right.
My mom is 92 years young, and my dad left her in good shape. I didn't think we should be piling up debt on our grandchildren to give free medicine to my mom. But yeah, we dug in and fought president of our own party to try and advance fiscal responsibility and reform that still is much needed.
And it went to 3:00 in the morning. And I think I think your right arm is still injured because they twisted your arm so many times to try to get you to vote for it. And in the end, you did the courageous thing. It was really a profile in courage. And I think they offered you the world in exchange for your vote. But, you in good conscience, you did not vote for that bill. And that was a long night. I remember I'm humbled by that, but it wasn't just me. I mean, I think the hope of the country is that the Republican majorities in the House and the Senate are filled with principled men and women who know the real challenge that we face in the debt crisis facing this country. You and I both know we have work to do, but my concern right now is and I'm glad to see some modest reforms of Medicaid. We're adding work requirements to Medicaid. Those are important first steps, but at the end of the day, we've got to produce national leadership that'll come clean with the American people, that we need to reform these entitlements to spare future generations a mountain range of debt. And I believe in all of my heart that that day will come soon. That's the voice of Vice President Mike Pence, one of my heroes. We'll be right back, folks, with this exclusive interview with the Vice President. And I hope you're having a wonderful Saturday afternoon.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there's one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
I think you're on mute.
Workday starting to sound the same?
I think you're on mute.
Find something that sounds better for your career on LinkedIn. With LinkedIn Job Collections, you can browse curated collections by relevant industries and benefits, like flex PTO or hybrid workplaces, so you can find the right job for you. Get started at linkedin.com/jobs. Finding where you fit. LinkedIn knows how.
Llegaron los nuevos McCrispy Strips, listos para aventurarse en la mezcla de mayo ketchup, la barbecue que quedó en el fondo de la cajita, Hot Fudge Sundae y en la nueva Creamy Chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Los nuevos McCrispy Strips, ahora en McDonald's. Para pa pa pa.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back, folks. This is the More Money Show on WBC and affiliates throughout the country. This is our exclusive interview with the great Vice President Mike Pence. And as I said earlier in the show, I don't think that Donald Trump would have been president in 2016 if it had not been for putting a staunch conservative on that ticket, and nobody better than Mike Pence. And you serve the president so admirably, Mr. Vice President. So I want to thank you for that great service. So a couple of things. You and I were chatting offline about the fact that I was saying one of the reasons that I love to do the show is I love to take my callers from our listeners, because I learn so much to listen from to them about what's on their mind. What do they think about issues? And you reminded me that you sort of got your start in talk radio.
I did. I was on 19 radio stations in Indiana, 3 hours a day, 6 days a week in the 1990s. And you were actually on that show. You don't remember.
Oh, I remember.
You were on my show. Yeah. I landed an interview with Steve Moore. And, but yeah, I was kind of like Rush Limbaugh on decaf. We talk about the issues of the day, but like you said, the thing that was most valuable to me in those years on the radio was not learning how to talk. It was learning how to listen. I mean, the people of this country are steeped in common sense and wisdom and a love of freedom and a profound understanding of the ideals that have made this country great. And being able to have a conversation with the people of Indiana every day of the week for 7 years informed all the service
that explains why you're so smart and why you it explains how you were able to feel the pulse of the American people. So let's get down to this budget bill. We were starting a little bit earlier, talking about it in the earlier segment, but I find myself in agreement with you. Obviously, this is a must-pass bill. I'm so glad that Advancing American Freedom is doing everything it can in terms of radio and TV ads and all of the advocacy that you all do. You have a great team there. We try to do that at Unleash Prosperity. I'm concerned that too many Republicans don't want to cut spending. And, I'll give you one statistic and then I'd love your reaction to this, Mr. Vice President. Yeah. Under the current baseline, $85 trillion. $85 trillion is how much the federal government is supposed to spend over the next 10 years. Under the Republican budget that's so cruel and mean-spirited and is going to throw people, grandmothers off of Medicare, Medicaid, so on. You know what? That number isn't $85 trillion. It's $83 trillion. So what are they talking about? Right. There's no real cuts in this. The budget goes up every year. And if I have any complaint, it's that we're not making the reforms in these programs that you were talking about earlier.
It's really true. And I appreciate you mentioning the fact that I'm not new to this fight. I actually ran for Congress before the Republican Revolution of 1994. And by the time I got there, I almost felt like some days I'd run before the revolution and had won after it was over. We were fighting the big spenders in Republican circles with the Republican administration during my years in Congress, and you were right there with us every step of the way. But look, I think this is the time where, since I left office, I've become a grandfather 4 times over and working on the 5th. And we're blessed beyond measure. But I look at those kids, those little grandchildren of mine, and I just think I can't walk by on the other side of the road as we pile 36 trillion and counting on debt on those kids. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the reasons why when I jumped into the presidential race back in 2023 and the work that we've done at our foundation before, since, I just want to continue to be a voice for the kind of not only strong defense, traditional values, but commitment to fiscal responsibility and limited government that brought me to this party. I mean, I joined the Republican Party under Ronald Reagan, and too much today in the Republican Party, we see people embracing big government, unwilling to roll their sleeves up and do the hard thing. And I think that underestimates the American people. I think the American people are ready for leadership that will explain the debt crisis that we're facing. And I'm actually also concerned. We were talking about the tax cuts in the last segment. There are some voices in and around our party that are talking about raising the top marginal rate.
It's terrible. Terrible.
As a way of making the big, beautiful bill. Our group did the math on it. Like I need to tell you, people say, well, what's the big deal about raising the top marginal rate? We cut it from 39.6 down to 37. And there are some people that are sympathetic to raising it back up. Well, more than half of the people that pay the top marginal rate are small business owners. Right. Who report as individuals all the income from their business and plow it all back into the business. I grew up in a gas station business in southern Indiana, and my family was part of a pass-through corporation. I watched my dad work hard to make that business successful. The last thing that we ought to do is fail to renew all of these rates, or ultimately result in what would be the largest small business tax increase in history by letting the top marginal rate go up. So I think now is the time we need more voices like yours out there, Steve. I hope we can be a part of that chorus that's saying, yes, we need to come to terms with this debt crisis. We need to go to the American people with a comprehensive and a compassionate approach to reforming entitlements and the welfare state in America over the long term. But we also need to preserve the pro-growth tax cuts and policies that will create a foundation for putting us back on a fiscally sustainable path. And at Advancing American Freedom, we're going to continue to make that fight.
Well, just in our last minute, I'm talking to Vice President Mike Pence. One of the concerns I have is that you've got these new groups that are emerging on the right. One of them is this movement called national conservatism, and I'm a conservative. You're a conservative, but it's a kind of big government agenda of going after right to work laws. I believe Indiana is a right to work state.
We are.
Indiana is most. We've got 26 states now that basically say the government can't force you to join a union. We want low tax rates, as you talked about, but some of these big government national conservatives want to raise the tax rates. We believe in the benefits of immigration. Some want to be restrictive, not just illegal, but legal immigration. Some of them are against trade. And so some of them are saying we have to move beyond Reaganism. And I'm sorry, I grew up with Reagan. And why would we want to do that? Reagan showed us the path.
Well, it's true. And it wasn't just Reagan. It was long before him. I mean, Abraham Lincoln described himself as a conservative. And I believe that those ideals and economic principles, free market and the like, are all at the very heart of the American dream. Look, I think the Republican Party in the days ahead faces a real choice, whether we're going to stay true to the traditional conservative agenda that we governed on during the Trump-Pence years, or whether we're going to follow the siren song of populism unmoored to conservative principles. And all the things you just described are continuing to emerge in and out of those in public life around the Republican Party. I want to be a winsome voice for a commitment to the conservative agenda that's always made this country strong and prosperous and free. And I couldn't be more grateful for your voice in that.
Well,
fight,
Mr. Vice President, thank you so much for joining. That's Vice President Pence, who is one of my heroes. And I've been in Washington 40 years. I think Mike Pence is one of the few people who's never let me down. And that's saying a lot. So thank you for the service to our country. Thank you for coming on. I know how busy you are. The group is at Advancing American Freedom. How do people get in touch with you guys?
AdvancingAmericanFreedom.com or at American Freedom on X. And we'd love to have people follow our work, be a part of what we're doing. But thanks for having me on More Money, Steve.
Thank you so much, folks. That's Mike Pence, and we'll be right back on the More Money Show on WABC.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore on the Red Apple Podcast Network.